first days of school are hard. I get it, I've been there. But my first day of middle school was different. I was sitting at my desk, feeling like an outsider at a new school, when I heard someone rush towards me. Hey, he said, we're missing one for table tennis. In Chinese, it's ping pong. So, you in? I looked up in surprise. I don't know how to play ping pong. It's okay, he said. We'll teach you. So he dragged me to a game with he and his friends, boys and girls, and we had a really good time. Now, full disclosure, I still suck at ping pong. But I remember the feeling of warmth, of feeling included, welcomed into that new community. The game brought me in. 4 years ago, another friend of mine dragged me to another game with him. It was at an old sports stadium 3 hours away from Shanghai, and it was pouring rain that day. Come on, I said to him. Nobody is going to travel 3 hours in this horrifying rain to watch people play video games. Plus, it's going to be awkward. I'm definitely going to be the only girl there. Well, 3 hours later, I was sitting at the stadium, soaking wet, and surprised to find myself surrounded by over 10,000 fans. They were young, they were excited, their faces were painted in team colors. And I looked out to the crowd. I was definitely not the only girl there. In fact, almost half of the audience was female. When the game started, it was like someone lit a fire in the stadium. A dragon flew across the screen, and the crowd broke into roaring waves of cheer. I looked around at the people high-fiving around me. Some were older, most were younger, some were men, some were women. And I felt, wow, the game, the video game, is bringing people together. And that excited me. For the following 3 years, I co-founded an esports company in China, aiming to create experiences just like this to connect people through esports and gaming. Now, fast forward a couple years. Last summer, I moved to the US. Now, I had heard about the difference between the Eastern game culture and the Western game culture. Namely, here it's a little bit more boy-centric. So I wanted to check it out myself. I drove up north to Oakland Esports Arena to a game of Fortnite. Fortnite is a massively popular game here, and it's one of the most gender-balanced games here. It has over 46% of its player base female. I wanted to find a few female gamers and ask them about their experience. When I got there, well, this is not a 10,000 people arena, and there were no dragons or anything, but it was still very cool. It was a cool, hip arena with state-of-the-art computers. When I walked in, the players and the fans were glued to the screen, immersed in their game. And behind them was this big screen showing what was going on. They didn't notice me when I walked in. But I noticed something. I was the only female there. And this is not a standalone incident. I've heard women on podcasts, in articles, talking about experiences similar to mine, finding themselves to be one of the very few females at esports events. But wait a minute. If the stats are correct, the percentage of female gamers here in the US is actually quite comparable to that in China. In both countries, almost half of the gamer base are female. Then where are the US female gamers? Maybe they just don't like offline events? But then I realized it's not just offline. The female gamers here are not showing up to offline events, and they're invisible online too. My friend Claire tells me about her experience. Claire is an excellent Overwatch player. She's been playing the game since it launched. And she tells me that when she plays Overwatch, she mutes her mic. Why do you mute your mic? I asked Claire. Well, she said, because I don't want them to find out I'm a woman. What would happen if they find out you're a woman? What would they do to you? For one thing, she said, they would not invite me to the next game. On the other hand, there is also that awkward private messages. hey, how are you? What are you doing? What are you wearing? Come on, I don't want any of that. I just want to play my game. There is an underlying assumption here about the motivation of a female gamer. Namely, if you can't prove your authenticity, if you can't prove your gaming skills and your love of gaming by beating every single person out there that challenges you to a game, then you don't really like gaming. You're just doing it to get guys' attention. So this reminds me of an old joke, which says, women go to colleges just to get husbands, just to get an MRS degree. Now, that joke is over half a century old, but we're here in 2020, and gaming is new. It's no longer that small niche industry in the 60s and 70s. It's now a giant industry overtaking the entertainment form. The global gaming industry is $120 billion. It's bigger than the global movie box office and the music industry combined. 2.5 billion people around the world are gamers. So it's now a big community, got a big voice. Then what kind of messages are we saying with this voice? Then I realized there's also a second layer of the issue, a less noticeable one. In 2015, there was this incident called Gamergate, in which online trolls attacked female video game producers with rape threats and death threats, demanding them to get out of the industry. Brianna Wu, a female video game producer, right at the center of Gamergate, reflected on her experience recently in her op-ed on New York Times. She said, I wish I could tell you things have gotten better 5 years since the Gamergate, but they haven't. She said, we built worlds of fantasy for men, by men. For men, by men. Now, the issue we're seeing here in video games is not fresh. We've seen it before. We've seen it in Hollywood. We've seen it in traditional sports. We've seen it right here in Silicon Valley. But we have a unique window of opportunity here. The gaming industry, despite its rapid growth, is still growing. It's still small. It will grow bigger. It's growing to take an even more dominant part of our social life, and not just our generation, but generations to come. We gotta do something here. What can we do? Well, I see 3 things to be done. 1, if you are a gamer, if you're a female gamer, unmute your mic. Speak up, because you deserve to be heard. If you are a male gamer, actually, mute your mic. Try this for a change. When you go home tonight, sign on to your favorite game and create a new ID, a female ID with a female name, and see what happens to you, and notice how you feel, what you would like to be changed. 2, if you run a game company, which I know some of you may go on to do, think about who you're bringing onto your creative staff. Think about who you have on your production team. Because the digital world, just like our real world, should be created for everyone, by everyone, isn't it? 3, if you are none of the above, well, whatever your form of gameplay is, Pokemon Go, Jenga, Texas Hold'em, bring someone in, invite someone, bring them in. When I moved here last summer, I brought my 2 kids with me, a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. I remember feeling very nervous taking them to their first play date. Will they make friends? Will they be accepted? Because when they moved here, they didn't speak a lick of English. Will they be included? Or will they be like their mother when I was their age? Will they just sit silently in the corner? When we got there, the party had already started. The kids had laid out toys on the floor. Blocks, Lego, a Switch. My kids jumped with joy. And immediately, they rushed in, and the children started playing. The games brought them in. Thank you.